Hello everyone, my name is Michael Lee, Solutions Engineer at DJI, and today we're going to walk through how to create a waypoint mission in FlightHub 2. The primary goal of a waypoint mission is to create a route that can be automated and repeated with the ability to perform actions such as taking a photo at specific X, Y, and Z coordinates. You can either overlay a model, plan directly on the base map, or bring in external data depending on your workflow. While not requiring, using a model can provide valuable context for planning your mission. For a model, we're going to go ahead and go into our map models. And then you would select the model that best corresponds with your mission. And we're going to overlay that model on top of the map. Overlaying a model that is absolutely accurate on the map allows it to be aligned with real-world coordinates. This allows us to visualize, analyze, and interact with the model in its actual geographic context. We can toggle visibility, adjust the display order, compare overlapping models, and even center them on the screen for easier viewing. Once in the project settings, we're going to go ahead and we're going to go to our flight route library. And we're going to click the plus button and start to create a route. From here, we'll select a waypoint route. And the aircraft that we want to fly today is the Matrice 4D series and the Matrice 4DT. Note here, you also have the ability to enable accessories such as the speaker and the spotlight. And then we would name our route. Once that's created, it will ask you to click on the map to set a reference takeoff point. This is typically where you would take off or where your dock is. So from here, now it will ask you some flight route settings. From here, it will ask you camera settings. So what you would like it for visible for visual, IR for thermal, or you have the option to select both. You can also select smart low light if it is in low light conditions. However, we won't be utilizing that for this example. And from here, you also have two takeoff options. You have direct ascent, where the drone flies straight up to a predetermined safe altitude and then flies to its first waypoint. Or you also have safe takeoff altitude, which encompasses the direct ascent, but also has an additional safety check to ensure that the drone reaches a safe altitude and avoids any obstacles before starting its mission. Then it will ask you what altitude mode you want to fly. So this will determine the drone's altitude and how it's calculated during flight. So you got a few options. You have ASL, which is above sea level. You have ALT, which is a constant altitude from that drone's takeoff point. And then you have AGL, which ensures a consistent altitude above the terrain. Next is we have our global flight speed. This dictates the drone's velocity during the automated mission. This directly impacts efficiency, data collection, and mission duration. Now going into some advanced settings, you will have takeoff speed, which controls how quickly the drone ascends at launch. And then you have waypoint types. So going into some of the options we have here on waypoint types, we have a coordinated turn that skips waypoint. This is where the aircraft begins its turn before reaching the point, resulting in a smoother arc. You have straight route aircraft stops. This is where the aircraft flies directly over the point before beginning its turn. And then you have turns before waypoint flies through. This is where the turn is initiated prior to the point for a smoother transition. And then you have curved route. This is where your aircraft stops. The aircraft follows a curved approach to the waypoint, but comes to a stop at the point before proceeding. And then you have curved route aircraft continues, where the aircraft follows a continuous curved path through the waypoint without stopping and maintaining a smooth trajectory. Going into aircraft yaw, you have three options. A long route, the aircraft will follow the flight route direction and fly to the next waypoint. You have manual, which allows manual control of the aircraft heading when the aircraft flies toward the next waypoint. And you have lock yaw axis, where the aircraft maintains a yaw angle from last waypoint and flies to the next waypoint. And then you have gimbal control. You'll have two options. You have manual, which allows manual control of the gimbal tilt when aircraft flies toward the next waypoint. The aircraft will maintain its original gimbal tilt angle from last waypoint if it's not controlled manually. And then you have for each waypoint, gimbal tilt angle changes evenly when the aircraft flies from one waypoint to the next. And then upon completion, this is typically when your mission is done. You have 4 options. So return home, the aircraft will fly home after the flight route task is done. And then you have return to start point and hover, where the aircraft will fly to its first point and hover and wait. And then you have exit task, where the aircraft will immediately exit its task when it's done and hover in place. And then you have land, where essentially the aircraft, once it's finished, will land in its current location after completing the flight route. And then you have bypass obstacle. You have the option to, when you enable this, the aircraft will attempt to bypass obstacles during its task. So once all your flight route settings are done, you can start planning your mission. I'm going to go ahead and turn off my camera to make it easier for you to see. So what I usually do is, once I have that all done, the first thing I typically do as a reminder is I can always push the question mark on the keyboard, and this will bring up any shortcut keys. So you can, to select waypoints, you can tap on the map by right-clicking. You can also right-click to add a waypoint, or you can use WASD keys on the map. And then if you want to take a photo, you can select F to take a photo or space to drop a waypoint. So I'm kind of giving it commands now, as you can see down here. As I push D, it moves the drone this way, A, W, S, and then E and Q. So I'm going to go to the first asset that I want to inspect. So right now I'm kind of just using WASD, and I have options to switch to the wide or zoom. So I could close this shortcut, and I have options, as you can see, 1 and 2. I have options to switch to wide and zoom. You can also have the ability to go full view to view the point cloud or 3D model. So if I click this button right here, I can go full view. So from here, I want to push F to take a photo. So I'm kind of moving along and just using the WASD, and then when I'm ready to take a photo, I can click F. I also have the ability, so for example, if I want to drop a waypoint without taking a photo, I can push the space bar and move it along here. So once all the waypoints are set, you have the ability to review the waypoint action options, such as capturing photos, recording videos, or adjusting gimbal angles, yaw, or tilt using the waypoint action interface. So I'm going to show you. I'm going to go ahead and click save. And you have the ability to, at the first waypoint, adjust the yaw, the tilt, the camera zoom, and even the specific photo fixed angle. So how these planned waypoint missions can be used in real life. Some examples are, you can utilize the panorama for like a construction site. You can use thermal capture at inspection points to check for hotspots and power lines, or zoom photo to capture detailed images of a cell tower. Also, after you run the mission with your DJI dock, you can come back and you can also annotate photos using AI spot check. So what I'm going to do is go back into this mission. And you can see AI spot check right here. So AI spot check is available after aircraft performs first flight and photos are captured. So how that is essentially you're able to, once you've flown it once, you'll have a photo here, and you can essentially train the AI what you want to highlight and what you want to focus on, so that next time you have a little more accuracy and what it wants to focus on for essentially like a point of interest. Another additional feature that I want to show is no return point. So you can also enable no return point for greater efficiency. You're able to right click and set this as a no return point. This essentially ensures that the drone follows the planned route through the obstacle areas before safely ascending and returning home. So this ensures that the drone returns safely during flights. If there's bridges, tunnels, or any dense trees or tall structures. This photo right here gives an example. So let's say you were flying underneath a specific transmission line and you didn't want it to return home. So if you were flying underneath 3 here, you could see how it could be an issue if we were to return home. It could hit the asset. So what we would do is we would right click waypoint 3 and select no return point. So during the start of after waypoint 2 is completed, as it's going to waypoint 3 and to 4, you can see that it will not trigger return to home, and instead that it will fly back to its original waypoint. So also, if needed, we can also add AI functions for intelligent recognition. Napoleon will cover these AI functions in more detail in the next video on the patrol routes. But keep in mind they can also be incorporated into waypoint missions with intelligent recognition waypoint action. So I'm going to give you an example of how that works. So from our start point, we're able to select this, and we're able to select intelligent recognition, and we're able to start. So from here, we have the option to do visible, or infrared. So if we wanted to spot people, vehicles, boats, we can have the AI, if it detects more than one person, we can have it trigger, so essentially take photos, record videos, or even wait for takeover. And then you also have recognition area. So if we wanted a specific area for the AI to work, that's where we could select that area. So an example of this that could be useful, I'm selecting the infrared, is when you're scanning a solar field, you could set a temperature value as a warning threshold and set appropriate trigger actions such as takeover or recording video, or even have the drone hover and wait for takeover. So we've started that on the first point. Just ensure when you get to the last point that you select N, intelligent recognition. Thanks for watching Mission Planning 2. I really hope you enjoyed the course. Thank you.